There they are. It's so good to see you. Look at that dude. Hey, man. How are you? Can I give you a hug?
Oh, yes.
Good to see you, buddy.
Absolutely good to see you. Thanks for coming. Glad we didn't scare you off too much.
No, it's good to be back.
There's no chance, Johnny Agar. We fell in love with the Agar family when we first met them last November.
Is there a better man than your dad?
I've yet to find one for me.
For a story about Jeff and Johnny,
Home stretch, Daddy.
father and son triathletes. 29-year-old Johnny was born with cerebral palsy.
Johnny. There you go, that a boy.
It is a muscle disorder that makes it impossible for him to walk without assistance.
Look at you. There you go.
But with the help of his hero, Johnny has paved his way in the most unlikely of sports. It's one that Jeff takes on for both of them.
I believe I can fly.
When he bikes, he hauls him. When he swims, he pulls Johnny. And when he runs, he pushes him.
Mom's cooking when we get home.
Jeff told us back in November, for his son, it's all worth it.
I mean, I'm not a fan of swimming, biking, or running, so which is perfect for triathlon. So this probably wouldn't be in the top 100 things I would select to do. I'm not doing it because I love it. It wasn't like a dream of mine. This is Johnny's dream. I'm just giving him the legs and the power to do it.
It has become Johnny's passion, and that has led him and his father to Ironman races. Those are the toughest of endurance events.
All right, so make some noise for our PCF during the water.
Team Agar has a 2.4-mile swim, a 112-mile bike, and a 26.2-mile run, and they have to finish it all in under 17 hours.
Let's go, Dad, let's go.
Well, why even try it, you may be wondering? To prove what Ironman's mantra is. Anything is possible.
Work out there.
Now look, they failed the first 5 times they tried to finish an Ironman in the time allowed. But on the 6th attempt, they did it. And look who crossed that finish line. That victory last September inspired Johnny's dream to one day cross the finish line at what is considered to be the Super Bowl of triathlons, the Ironman World Championship in Kona, Hawaii. Now, teams like the Agars need to be invited to compete. And guess what? Ironman wants to extend that offer for a team they say personifies the spirit of the sport. And they decided to let us break the news. So we planned a trip back to Michigan, but we told him it was for a Father's Day surprise.
So in the time since we first met to date, have you had any new epiphanies, any new aha moments? You know, maybe a question I asked that you, long after I were gone, were like, here's one I thought, anything.
The feedback on social media is a bit overwhelming. I find the things that hit me the hardest is that people will comment that, you know, I don't do anything with my kids. And here's this guy doing this, and I should be able to do so much more. Well, I hope that just inspires fathers to believe you can do more. You don't have to be a great father. You just have to do better than you are today.
Just to see how Dad wants to succeed and wants to put in the work to be able to get me across the finish line really inspires me.
Okay.
Now, in the spirit of our Father's Day theme, I asked the Agars to record a message for all the dads out there.
Hello, America. We're the Agar family. I'm Jeff.
I'm Johnny.
Becky, Annie,
And I'm Gracie.
And we want to wish all fathers a happy Father's Day.
That was so good! You guys, they nailed it on one. Okay, do you feel good about that?
Yeah.
Can we watch it back, by the way? Ready?
For this moment, we got a little help from a Hall of Fame quarterback who happens to be one of Johnny's favorite athletes.
Hey, Agar family, Peyton Manning here. Listen, rumor has it you're a big fan of mine. I really appreciate that. That means a lot. But I'm a big fan of yours as well. You guys are incredible. You're a true inspiration. Now, I've heard there's a big dream that you're hoping to achieve together. Well, why don't we make that dream come true right now? On behalf of Ironman, it is my honor to share with you that Team Agar has earned an official invite to the 2024 Ironman World Championship in Kona, Hawaii. Congratulations, good luck, and I'll be rooting for you the whole way.
You guys are good!
It is toasty warm out today.
Starting now, Team Agar has 16 months to beef up their training for the World Championship. And Ironman sent us their official ticket to Kona.
There we go, Johnny.
When I hopefully walk across that finish line, I'm gonna put every ounce of energy that I have. It's gonna be really, really special for me.
Mm-hmm. Good job, bud.
Thank you so much.
Johnny and Jeff. They have what no other triathlete in this sport has when they compete.
Knees up, head high, buddy.
Each other.
Happy Father's Day.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you too, bud.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
How old are you, Tosh?
2.
2, hey!
And these are our 3-year-old twins, Alexandra and Zachary.
When did you turn 3?
On my birthday.
Believe it or not, this is Father's Day number 10 for me. I have an almost 11-year-old son, an 8-year-old daughter, and then the baby.
Yeah, isn't that fun?
Welcome to our world. Okay, let's do one more finger. Amazing.
When you have that privilege of becoming a father, you have a higher sense of purpose. You've now entered that selfless zone where there are individuals that is far more important than you are.
How did you define being a good father?
Being present. More meaningful for me, I wasn't raised by my dad. In fact, I've only met him 3 times. What it meant to be a dad was simply to be present.
So looking at today's world, I would say just time. Time is the most important thing, and that's how I would define a great father.
As a father to 3 sons, what's important to me is not for them to emulate me or essentially grow up to be like me, but to be better than me.
You know, somebody that gives their kids the confidence to go tackle the world with a full head of steam. Part of that means equipping your kids with tools to overcome adversity.
I still hang on to faith that we'll be able to fix the things that are wrong in our world. And fatherhood did that for me.
Being a Latino Puerto Rican father has definitely opened my eyes. I am educating my daughter to be a citizen of the world and to look at things for what they bring to the table and not based on appearances.
Being a dad of color comes with a level of pride that I don't think that anybody will understand unless they are a dad of color.
I'm very mindful that I have a black daughter, and while that is the best blessing in the world, it can also be something that I'm very scared of.
There's so much that I want to tell her about the reality of things. I want her to know how the world works for people like her, kids that don't look like her. And it's trying to figure out the right words to say. It's not having the right words to say.
When he grows up, I want him to be able to just walk into a room and know that he's supposed to be there. And why is he supposed to be there? Because his dad helped prepare him to be there.
As fathers have an opportunity to make a change from this generation to the next. How do you make that change as a dad?
He's going to experience every single thing that I went through. My only job is to make sure I uproot any tree that might be in the way that I can move.
I'm hopeful that my daughters are going to be able to, you know, they always have choices no matter what anyone says to them, and that they never stop loving themselves.
To help them understand, who they are, and to have pride in who they are, and to wear and understand what it is to be, young black boys as a badge of honor, and to wear that badge unapologetically.
And during this upcoming Father's Day, I'm going to make a personal challenge to myself to figure out how can we make this world a better place in the next 365 days.
It's a day that I really feel that we actually do get credit that we deserve.
All the dads out there, I just want to say, live slow. Take the long way to school or to daycare. Let him sit on your lap for an extra 15, 20 minutes, even though you know that it's past his bedtime.
There's no book to tell you how to be a father. Everything is on the fly. And you just gotta go with the flow.
Fatherhood is like driving on the road at night. You can only see as far as the headlights, but you make it there safely most of the time.
Love you.
This morning, you're going to see how a father is being taught some difficult moves by his 6-year-old daughter. Take a look.
5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. 1, go, 3, 5, 7, 8.
That is Michael Jankowski practicing a cheer routine with daughter Josie. Mom Roxanne recorded the special moment. You're doing a great job. A lot of flexibility for a man of his age. I recognize it. Michael says when he was younger, he played football and baseball, never cheered, but both Josie and her sister Annabelle cheer competitively, which encouraged Michael to join in so he could help with their practice.
And I never understood the cheerleading world, but once they got involved with it and being a girl dad, I was like, gosh, I saw the joy in their eyes that I saw when I played.
When asked about her dad's performance, Josie said he did well. She gave him a B.
A B. Hey, that's not bad. It's passing.
Pops, you got to step your game up, man.
That's gotta
work on it.
Need an A+ next time.
Not bad. I like that. Bring in some joy.
The joy that these brothers and sisters have, just being together, should not be taken for granted in this story. Each one had been put in foster care and separated.
Bubby, make sure you brush your teeth while you're up there.
Robert Carter, now 33 and the owner of a Cincinnati hair salon, became a foster parent to 3 brothers in 2018. And then one day he heard something that was particularly painful for him.
I overhear my oldest son, Robert, talking about their sisters. So I asked him, hey, you got sisters? And he's like, yeah, we have sisters.
What did you think in that moment when they said, yeah, we have sisters, and they had been separated?
I thought they were lying, to be honest, because no one's told me about siblings.
But that obviously hit a chord with you because you'd been separated from your siblings.
Right.
Now, the parallels with his own young life and those of these 5 children are striking. Robert Carter was placed in foster care at the age of 13 and not destined to be adopted.
So you lived with your mom for the first 13 years?
Yeah.
Dad too, or just mom?
Just mom.
What was your mom dealing with? What was she struggling with?
She was a single parent of 9, and she also had alcoholism.
Do you remember not eating some days?
No, because we always say, I was the oldest, so I always made sure we had something to eat. I was go steal from corner stores, even if it was like chips and stuff for my siblings, because we had to eat in order to survive.
Did you ever turn to drugs?
No.
Alcohol?
No.
What do you think kept you away from that?
Seeing what my mom and dad went through, how it affected them, how it affected us. He's gonna pass it around.
It was against that background that he sought help from the foster care agency in Cincinnati, Ohio, to find the boys' missing sisters and reunite a family.
We've been through a lot, and especially me. And it's a lot of pressure being the big sibling because you have to put on a good image. And it's like, it's a lot because they look up to you.
The cool thing about your dad is your dad has also been in foster care. So he knows what you guys have gone through.
It helps a lot because some people don't understand.
But he knew what had to be done. And that is where Magistrate Regina Stargel comes in. Because Robert Carter decided he wanted to adopt all 5 brothers and sisters.
So I'm thinking, you made it out of the foster system. You're starting your own life. You're young. This is your chance to do you. And people are selfish, and I'm expecting him to do you. So why are you taking on the obligation of 5 kids? I'm like, convince me.
You didn't really have a father figure constantly in your life. So where did you learn how to be a good parent?
From not having one. From just, I give them everything I wanted, from the affection to the attention to the stuff we do together. So I just try to do everything I wanted as a child and my dad, I do to them to make sure that they have everything I wanted and more.
In court in 2020, An adorable family in waiting made the newspaper.
His kids came in dressed in finery in red and black, is what I recall.
And they faced Judge Stargle's scrutiny.
I'm looking to see body language. How are the kids interacting with each other as well as the petitioners as the testimony's being taken? And I was like, this is the real deal.
The real deal. And under her court order, a family. Now, as Robert Carter watches his children joyfully play together, he also sees what may have happened had the children stayed in the foster care system.
So we're at my old apartment where I was in independent living when I was 16, by myself, coming home every day to nobody to greet me, nobody to cook me meals, no one to wake me up, say good morning or anything.
No one to welcome him home. That's what he remembers most about living in this apartment building while he finished high school. After living in 2 foster care homes, he was sent here to live on his own.
It was hard. It was one of the most depressing times of my life. Something I would never want any of my kids to go through or anything like that.
Can you tell me about some of those moments?
I probably said it was my graduation. Because when you imagine graduation, you imagine, the day of, your parents waking you up, and it's your big day. And it was none of that.
He filled his days working 3 jobs.
Stay busy so I wouldn't have to go home alone, basically.
So you work concessions at the Reds, Cincinnati Reds.
Dishwasher at Chipotle.
Dishwasher at Chipotle.
And I was a cashier at Wendy's.
As rough a childhood as you had, how were you able to turn that into such a productive adulthood?
I feel like I just use my trauma and my hurt and stuff to be my fuel to keep going and to want better and want to help people and do better in life.
It's inspiring that given all you've been through, you were able to graduate high school.
Because most foster kids don't.
When he had aged out of the foster care system at age 18, never having been adopted, he started to make sure that other people like him didn't become statistics. So he first got custody of his younger sister. Then at 21, he became the guardian to his 13-year-old brother. And then he started to take in foster children.
Is you doing this trying to fill a hole in yourself?
I don't think so, because I told myself, once I start my family, nothing else is going to matter. And literally nothing else matters now that I have my family, because they're together.
Their togetherness extends to everybody pitching in at the salon, which they depend on to support their family.
It's joy in everything, I feel like, when it comes to kids, because it's a memory. It's stuff I didn't get.
And guess what? That joy has spread. We wanted Judge Stargle to see the family she allowed to be together almost 3 years ago today.
We are reaffirming the adoption of the Carter kids.
Yay! You should know, too, the family that Robert Carter brought together now also includes his mother, who gave up drinking 4 years ago, and his father. Robert has reconciled with them and embraced them as parents, giving his children grandparents. It's a family all together by the force of one very loving man.
I've got a sweet trick from a Minnesota dad. He found a creative way to stop his 2-year-old's tantrum. Check this out. Little Caroline Borges came to the door crying after her sister sprayed her with water. But Dad quickly stopped those tears, not with a tissue, but with some whipped cream right in the mouth. Caroline's mom says 2-year-olds can get upset over a lot of things, as we all know, but her family has found this trick works great.
Sugar. I think that is such a dad thing.
I
don't know a mom that would do that.
I could see my wife doing it to me, to just shut me up, though.
Well, that's a different story. We're going to begin this hour with an incredible story of determination that led to a life-changing discovery. Deanna Schroeds, who was adopted as a baby, was building a family in Florida while at the same time trying to learn about her own origins. So after years of searching, Schroeds met her biological mom, who died before revealing the identity of her biological father. Our lead national correspondent, that's David Begnaud, spoke with Schroeds about getting answers and answering a stranger's prayers in the process.
The life story of Deanna Schroeds was a story without a beginning. At least she didn't know the beginning, but she was determined to find out.
I have to know where I started. And I have to know who else out there is a part of me. That desire never left.
Schroeds was adopted as an infant. She was 27 years old when she found her biological mom.
She was not open to meeting me. And then I went and met her personally. I just showed up, knocked on the door.
So you meet her, and you guys end up having a relationship for how many years?
20 years until she died.
You had one question for your mother, which you kept asking.
Yeah.
And it was?
Who is my father?
And her answer was?
I'm going to go to the grave with the name. Had no idea she was sick. Had no idea that there was cancer brewing. Weeks later, she was diagnosed, and a couple months later, she was dead.
She took it to the grave.
She took it right to the grave. Just give me a call.
Now, the story almost ended right there. But her mom did tell her two important things about her dad. He was Greek and from Richmond, Virginia. So she set out, creating a private Facebook group, Finding Mr. Greek. She gathered a group of friends and volunteers who would help search for him. And she signed up for multiple DNA registries, hoping that science would lead her to her father.
How many years do they try to find Mr. Greek?
Well, it's been 10 years. I got maybe 5 matches on my father's side. So I'm like, this is terrible. Like, we don't have anything to work with here on the DNA side.
Just open yourself up for just a new level of healing and restoration in your life.
She is an ordained minister, so she prayed a lot.
I told my husband, I told my best friend Laura, I said, listen guys, you might think I'm crazy, but I was in prayer. God spoke this to me. Your father's name is Gus.
Well, sure enough, in May of this year, after nearly a lifetime of wondering, her prayers were answered. There was a match to a cousin she never knew she had.
I reached out to this cousin and I said, we've just matched on 23andMe. And he said, I think you're my Uncle Gus's daughter. And I said, I think that too.
His name is Gus. Gus Nicholas, 92 years old. He lived in Richmond all his life. A bachelor who was never married, he was a retired ballroom dance instructor.
I prepared myself to find a grave, and I now found a person. And it was just absolutely mind-blowing. Couldn't believe that I had found a person.
Schroeds called him the very next day.
My heart was beating out of my chest. I was like, what is this going to be like? And is he going to accept me? Is he going to want to see me? When I found him, he was so excited to be found. He said, I woke up this morning and I was alone. Now this afternoon, I have a daughter, I have a son-in-law, I have 3 grandchildren, I have great-grandchildren. He said, I'm not alone in the world anymore. And I said, no, you're not. You're not.
Within a week, she was at Gus's bedside.
Well, I'm here.
I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad I'm here too.
As it turns out, just 4 months before they met, Gus had fallen at home. He was found lying on the floor. He could no longer care for himself. So the state placed him in a nursing home. And that's where they first met.
Gus would say to me, please don't let me die in here. Don't let me die in here. And I said, you know what? I'm going to make sure.
Yes, they are father and daughter, but still strangers, which makes what happened next absolutely remarkable. Deanna said to Gus, would you like to come and live with me? To which Gus responded, how soon can we go? And so 56 years after she was adopted, and 75 short days after she first called him, Schroeds and her husband, Pastor Larry Schroeds, took Nicholas out of that nursing home and drove him to their home right outside Tampa, Florida.
Okay, you got the orange juice?
Yep.
They now provide for him full time. She cooks his meals, Greek he always prefers, and she feeds them to him. Her guest room is now his bedroom. There are the mementos that he asked her to bring from the Richmond home, his trophies, dancing shoes, favorite hat, and a picture from the good old days.
I love you so much.
92 years of memories are packed into this 80-square-foot room. It is just big enough for his hospital bed, but intimate enough for the conversations they have.
I knew your mother for 60-some years. I knew her.
Hi, Gus.
I even got a chance to say hello.
How does it feel to have your daughter find you?
It felt good.
Yeah?
I didn't find my daughter. My daughter found me.
She found you.
Yeah.
To the man who gave her life, she is prepared to give back to him until the end of his. She's asked just one thing of him. Will you tell me all about you?
It is the most worthwhile thing I've ever done in my life. It's the hardest thing. It's the most worthwhile thing. It's the most incredible miracle I've ever had the privilege to live out. Yeah, I'm living the dream.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yes.
This Sunday is Father's Day, and it's a particularly big one for me. It is my first as a dad. As you all know, my wife Marion and I welcomed our daughter Celine earlier this year, and she has brought so much joy and purpose to our lives. Aww, I know, as well as many sleepless nights. So as we celebrate fathers this weekend, I visited our family's favorite New York City neighborhood hangout. It's called Nobody Told Me. It's on the Upper West Side, and it is where we first announced to our families on that day that we were having a baby. And I wanted to share a letter with Celine about how she's changed our lives in the most beautiful ways. When I was first asked to write a few words about Father's Day as a first-time dad, I thought, what do I know? What can I possibly have to say? I've only been a dad for about 4.5 months. I'm just learning. It felt like being asked to climb Mount Everest when I was still at base camp, just putting on my boots. But then I realized something. 4.5 months, a little over 19 weeks, which means, Celine, your mom, Marion, and I have been your parents for about 735 hours. I have been your dad for 44,100 minutes. The point is that from the very first minute you came into our lives until this very moment, and even before, I've been your dad, your papa. I was there when you took your first breath, and you were only seconds old when I kissed you and whispered your name into your itty-bitty ear, Celine, from the Latin calenus, meaning heavenly. You must be missing an angel. And you were just a few hours old when we had our first daddy-daughter dance, fittingly to Heaven Must Be Missing an Angel. Those lyrics. Missing one angel, child, because you're here with me right now. Yes, Celine, in just 4 months, you've realized that your papa loves music and spends hours singing and playing for you everything from Bach to Springsteen to Coltrane. And I can tell that you love it too, especially when I sing your favorite song in Mandarin Chinese, or at least I try. We read together, books in English, books in French, and then Mama reads to both of us in Mandarin, so we both learn together. We go on walks to the park and we search for birds and smell the flowers, and sometimes we do nothing at all. And just when I think that my heart is filled to the brim with love and devotion, you go and do something. You grin at me in the morning when I peer into your crib. You grasp at something. You cry and you reach for me. And guess what? My heart grows yet again. But I have learned something on this, my first Father's Day. It's one that I guess all dads and moms too have learned. It can't be taught. You can't prepare for it, because the only way to know it is to feel it, to experience it, to live it. The feeling that a heart's capacity for love is infinite, limitless, without end. Dads know what that means. And now, for the very first time, so do I.
It's hard to believe there are still people alive today who had a parent born into slavery. Daniel Smith, who's almost 90 years old, is one of the few left. Jan Crawford spoke with him about his incredible story, which reflects the arc of race relations in America, from slavery to civil rights activism and the fight to end systemic discrimination. Jan is outside the National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington. A great story today, Jan. Good morning.
Good morning, Michelle. You know, it's an inspiring, incredible story. And what's even more incredible, the messages that Daniel Smith heard from his father, a freed slave, survivor, the strongest of the strong, so similar to what many other children of freed slaves heard from their parents. It's a story history has forgotten.
We are survivors.
Daniel Smith is one of the last living links to America's original sin. Your grandparents were enslaved.
Right.
Your father was born the property of a white man.
Yep.
His father, Abram, was born into bondage in Virginia in the early 1860s. He was 70 when his youngest son, Daniel, was born.
He used to tell these stories.
Stories about the inhumanity their ancestors suffered and survived.
Father said you could hear him screaming and crying at the whipping post. But the interesting thing, my father never allowed you to talk negatively about America.
His father believed, like other freed slaves, in this new America, his young son would be great.
He grabbed me and shook me. He said, "You have nothing to cry about. This is America. We came from the strongest of the strong. We survived the ships."
The ship.
He gave me a signal to be strong and to survive.
And not just survive, but thrive and fight for true freedom.
John Lewis.
You have a lot of memories with him.
Right.
Smith's living room is a testament to his generation's struggle for equality. He was there for Martin Luther King Jr.'s March on Washington.
I want to remember he someday
little black boys and black girls
can walk hand in hand
with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today.
Well, I was saying yes, and yes.
Smith followed that dream to Alabama, where he helped lead the fight for voting rights. He witnessed firsthand the terror. Smith remembers the Ku Klux Klan torching his office, and one night while driving, a car full of white men chased him down a dark road.
Then all of a sudden, boom, they hit me, and so I sped up as fast as my car would go. And then they come alongside me, pull over, you black. And I said, no, this black is not pulling over, because if they catch you, you're gone.
That must have been the most terrifying.
I wasn't scared, I was angry. But it stays with you up to 89, you know?
Like you can still feel that
feeling.
Yes,
yeah, right.
Smith went on to a successful career in government and then served as head usher at the National Cathedral, where he led presidents to prayer. An incredible life, inspired by a generation history forgets.
We want to think that happened so long ago.
Author Sana Butler says the children of freed slaves like Smith heard similar messages from their parents.
Mothers and fathers said, we didn't survive for you to be anything other than great.
In her book, Sugar of the Crop, Butler spoke to more than a dozen children of slaves, all of whom now are gone. Instead of anger, they were taught, like Smith, they could do anything.
After the Civil War, blacks truly believed the worst was over.
The worst was over.
The worst was over. So they had this immigrant mentality that we are going to go out and achieve everything that we can.
They didn't anticipate the barriers white America would erect. But their message, like the one from Smith's father, was you are the strongest of the strong.
People always say, it can't be done. You can't do this, you can't do that. I don't believe that. If you tell me that, I'm going to do it.
You hear people say today, but America has made so much progress.
It has. It really has. When I voted for Obama, I mean, it was shaking. I couldn't believe I was doing this. A black man? We've made a lot of progress.
But he says not nearly enough.
We cannot continue as a nation with people hating each other. My father, he never hated anyone.
You never saw that from him?
Right. No, never saw it.
What would your message be for the future?
Be kind. We need more kindness. I look back in terms of my crazy life, and I think it all came from my father saying, do good things. do good things.
Phil Heckel says he was never much of an artist. But a few weeks ago, he was trying to get his son Sam to make a few thank you cards.
And just to try to get him interested, I said, hey, I'm going to draw a picture of Nala, our dog.
He drew this one and this one. Then he posted them on Facebook, writing, "For sale, beautiful hand-drawn pictures of your favorite family pets for roughly $400 each." It was a joke, but serious requests began pouring in, thousands of them. So he began transforming pictures of pets into cartoons of cross-eyed dogs, long-legged cats, and more.
I can't get my head around the fact that so many people seem to like what I'm doing. It is just bonkers.
He signs his sketches with his pseudonym, Hercule Van Wolfwinkle, and leaves funny, fake customer reviews, like, "Did you draw this in the dark with your eyes closed?"
It was all this tongue-in-cheek thing of I'd set up this business and had become a portrait artist.
But when people offered to pay for their pet portraits, he asked them to donate instead to a local homeless charity.
End local homelessness.
So far, he's raised more than $45,000. Why do you think people like your drawings so much?
I don't know. I think the honest answer is they make people smile, and so there's not a lot to smile about at the moment.
One man even turned Hercule's drawing into a tattoo.
There's no going back from that, and it was a terrible picture as well, but I guess it was his dog.
Hercule may not be the best artist in the world, but he might be one of the fastest. We watched him sketch this cute puppy named Scott and this police dog from Henderson, Texas. How long do you think you're going to keep going?
Right now, I can't see it stopping.
Forever?
Forever? Well, I don't know about forever. That's a long time.
But this doodling dad says if he can keep lifting spirits and raising money for a good cause, he won't put down his pencils anytime soon. For CBS This Morning, Roxana Saberi, Worthing, England.
Here, Dad, pass.
There is not much in life better than passing a ball or puck back and forth with your kid.
Go to the net.
It's a little thing, but also everything. With the exquisite highs that come with bonding over sports, however, come the inevitable lows. And Rich Cohen has done a damn fine job documenting both in his latest book, Pee-wee's, Confessions of a Hockey Parent.
This can consume your life.
It does consume my life. Welcome to my house.
We met Cohen at Danbury Ice Arena in Connecticut, one of the places his youngest son played during one memorable season.
Rationally, I know I shouldn't care about it, and I'll tell myself at the beginning of every season that this season's going to be different, and this season I'm not going to care. And then I get into the stands, and I feel like I'm going to pass out from the intensity of it.
Pee-wee's, named after 11 and 12-year-olds, is laid out by months of the year as winter tightens its grip and Cohen's son's team inches toward a regional tournament. These are not after-school pickup games. They're matches both early morning and late night, long weekends of travel, and one parent taking a hard look at everything that went down. Cohen doesn't leave out much drama.
You talk about arguments with coaches. You talk about getting very angry with little kids. Your wife had to pull you away from the sport for a while and wouldn't even let you go.
Right.
I mean,
I lost my mind, and it's stupid, and it's not important.
It's so.
And maybe the fact that it is stupid and it's not important is what makes it so important.
It's like cheering for sports in general.
Yeah, it's like my father grew up with Larry King. Larry used to always say, sports is the most important, unimportant thing in the world. And that's why you lose your mind over it, because it's almost like you transfer everything from the rest of the world into this rink. And that's when people act really bad, when the game becomes a symbol for everything.
And it becomes, unfortunately, a lot more important for the parents than the kids.
But that's the blessing. See, one of the reasons why I think hockey is the best sport is the plexiglass. Because the parents are up there yelling, but the kids can't hear them.
Right now, most youth sports are either on pause or dramatically scaled back. But that wasn't the case as Cohen's book builds to a series of youth games in Lake Placid, home 40 years ago to another group of amateurs. And the greatest American sports moment of the 20th century, hockey's miracle on ice.
You say in the book, you said, when it's functioning like it's supposed to, youth hockey is one of the few communities where America still works.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Every kid on the ice can score at any time. Every kid's involved. Every kid's important. And it's like horses pulling a cart. So basically it means that it really is a meritocracy. It really is the best kids playing together, playing with kids at your level, and playing as a true team where everybody has to sublimate to some degree their own talent and their own ego and their own desire to make the whole thing go.
He's gotten good. And he's different now than he was when you wrote the book.
Yeah, he's playing with really good players, so he's gotten good, because play with better players, you get better or you quit, basically.
We won't spoil the ending of Pee-wee's, but like it or not, if you're a parent, you'll likely see at least some of yourself inside. You'll see your kids, too. And it might help you take everything a little less seriously, or not.
At the end of all this, do you feel like by writing this book, you fixed whatever went wrong?
No, probably not. I mean, I thought maybe, and then now because of the COVID, we're not really playing these games, but there was a game. There was one game early in the season. I'm like, I'm a totally different person. I've written this book. I've come to deal with it. And I went to the game. It was in New Jersey. And my son was sitting when I thought he should be playing. He was sitting too much. And I felt it well up in me. I felt the old beast coming back. So I'm like, that's when you go outside and count back. Counting backwards from 10 is very important for a hockey parent.
There are some skills you are just born with. For 6-year-old Qeshaun Todd, that's basketball. Check out how he schools his dad right on their living room court. Whoa. What? So Qeshaun says one of his signature moves is throwing the ball between his opponent's leg. He and his dad, Quincy, love showing off their skills on social media. They have been practicing since Qeshaun was 2 years old. Listen.
See him use the ceiling?
As a baby, I started just playing basketball on this little baby court, and then I start when I grow up, and I played on the big courts.
We just hope to just keep inspiring people to play the game basketball and ultimately to just have fun with the process.
The California duo call themselves Hoop Lord and Hoop Lord Jr. Qeshaun tells us he wants to be a basketball player when he grows up.
Should we get a snack, or are you doing okay?
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
I don't know.
Some healthy vegetarian gas station options?
Yeah.
Woody Faircloth and his 9-year-old daughter Luna are getting used to life on the road.
Look at how beautiful this is. It really is pretty.
For the last 3 years, they've been taking special trips to deliver RVs to families who've lost homes in wildfires. It's a mission they began after watching news of the deadly 2018 Camp Fire in California.
I turned to Luna, who was 6 at the time. She had no front teeth. And I said, Luna, why don't we get an RV and we'll drive it to California and give it to a family so they have a place to call home for Thanksgiving.
Luna, you said something very special right then at that Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I said, Dad, God and Santa Claus are going to be very proud of us.
And do you feel like God and Santa Claus are very proud of you?
Yes.
Faircloth began looking for RV donors and was amazed by how many people wanted to help with unwanted RVs or their time.
We have volunteers all over the country that have helped us. We have people right now that are answering emails and processing paperwork for these donations. I mean, it's just raise your hand and say, hey, I'd like to help. They can come home and make a home-cooked meal. And
Dad and daughter have personally delivered about 20 RVs to folks in need, mostly firefighters, first responders, and veterans. And he's helped arrange around 100 donations in all. But it's also been an opportunity to teach his daughter.
Oh, look at the palm trees.
Everywhere along their trips are reminders of the cost of these fires.
Look at the ground, how it's just ash.
And they've developed a stronger bond.
It's been really special for the two of us, just to be able to spend that time together and to make a difference, just so she knows that it's not just about her and it's not just about me, it's about the people that we're helping. And we're blessed.
Oh my gosh, it's so, bumpy.
We joined them on a trip from Denver to Redding, California.
All right, now we're really in the home stretch.
Dun, 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 dun.
They were there to deliver a new home
That's beautiful.
to Don George, a firefighter who lost nearly everything when his own home burned in the Fawn Fire this past September, while he was helping to save others' homes.
I went to the crew and I go, hey, I got to go check on my house, and it was already too late. My son says, I don't know how to tell you, but he just couldn't even talk. He didn't know how to say it. Go on.
George has been fighting fires for nearly 50 years. He's used to being the one doing the rescuing.
That your co-pilot?
His role changed when the Faircloths arrived.
I got keys for you.
Thank you.
I got a title for you.
When we visited George a few weeks later,
Let's look at the crown molding and everything.
I mean, it's just absolutely gorgeous.
he'd received a second donated RV so that his adult sons who lived with their parents could also have a place to live.
All I can say is thank God for Woody. You couldn't ask for a better man. He came just exactly the right time for me, renewed my faith in mankind. Man, if there was more people like that, we'd have a beautiful world.
All these families, we feel like they're part of our family now, and we stay in touch, and we hear their stories and share their successes.
You continue to be a community.
Absolutely.
And the experience has also helped a little girl grow wise beyond her years.
What makes you most proud?
That I've made a really big change in the world for a lot of people.
Do you want people to see this and decide, children and adults, that they can do the same thing?
Yes.
What can we all do to help make that happen?
Just be nicer to each other.